In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to use Adobe Illustrator to manipulate text, creating text wraps where text flows around objects, such as the left side of this text and the logo in the center, as well as the head on the photograph. We will be learning how to place images into our Illustrator file, and we will be running text on a path as well, as you see here in the title, Sounds Like Canada. So this is a finished file. I wanted to show you this first to see what our objective was. You see we have 4 different layers. We have one for the photo at the bottom, which I've named photo, one for the text and its elements, one for the photo line, which is this little line here, and one for the title up at the top. The important thing to know is when we create a text wrap, which is where text flows around objects, it has to stay on the same layer as the text. Therefore, the thing that it wraps around and the text must be on the same layer once again. I'll open this text layer now, and you'll see that there are many objects, the group which makes up the CBC logo, as well as that pattern that runs down the left and the top. I'll close this up here now. So let's start this from scratch. I'll zoom in here close. And we'll start by creating the CBC logo, save it, group it, and then start to place it in our page. I'll go by creating new document, file, new. We'll call this text lesson. I'll make my page size letter size, my orientation up and down, and I'll stay on RGB color. Click OK. Spacebar to move around. And let's create that CBC logo by just typing in the word CBC with our type tool. You can see here that our foreground chip is white and our stroke is black. We'll pick a nice yellow as our fill, and we'll start from there. So I'll click in the middle here, all uppercase, CBC. Then go to my selection tool, and I can simply expand that out holding my shift key down. And I will change the font by going up to my taskbar at the top, and I'll choose something rather bold. I'll see if we have impact here. Yes, we do, so I'll choose impact, which is a nice bold font, as you can see here. Just center that on my page, and then Command plus or Control plus on the PC to zoom in, spacebar to drag. Now the thing is, here is that text does not handle outlines very well. It runs the outline, the stroke, along the middle and actually deteriorates the quality of the text. So we're going to create an outline from this text. So let's go up to our type pull down menu and go create outlines. What this will do is it will turn my text item into a vector shape. Create outlines, and you can see here with all of the anchor points it is now a vector shape. It's no longer editable text. I'll go back, I'll recolor this. I guess I'll choose this nice orange. I'll go lighter there. Then I'll choose my stroke color. I'm just going to compare it to my other file. I will be putting a gradation in there, but my first stroke is black, then white, then red. Now the way we do this is we copy our item, paste it behind, add a larger stroke, and then do the same process over, copy it, paste it behind, create a larger stroke. So let's choose black for the stroke color, and I will increase the weight here. I'll go incrementally, and 4, I'll go back down to 4, maybe I'll even bring it down to 3. There we go. I'll deselect by clicking in an empty area, and that's looking alright. Let me go in first though and make this gradation as a fill. Choose my fill chip, go down just below it and choose your gradient icon, and we'll go and create a gradient by clicking on each gradient slider, going up to my color palette. I'll show options here. I must first change the palette to RGB. And what's white now, I will change to a light yellow. And then click on the other gradient slider. Go back up to my color palette. Choose RGB. And turn that into a red. So I'll just choose a dark red here. There we go. Now the next thing I want to do is I actually want to make this gradient go from top to bottom and make it look like it's all the same gradient. So I'll go to my gradient tool. And since yellow is my first color, that's where I start to click. So I'll start on the bottom, hold my shift key down, and just drag to the top of those letters. And that creates a gradient running from top to bottom. Now we will copy this, paste it behind itself, and create a larger stroke with a different color. So I'll go Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Back, highlight my stroke chip. I believe the next one is white, so this might be difficult to see. I'll choose white. I'll go to my stroke tab. I'll double it, so I'll increase it to 6. Now you won't see anything because it's on a white background, but watch when we do the next one. Edit Copy, Edit Paste in Back, change that stroke to a red, and I'll just pick it out of my swatches here, and increase that to 9. And in fact, I'm going to go even thicker on that. I will go up to 12. Okay, I can now deselect by clicking in an empty area. Save my file. I will just save it to my desktop. You should save it in your My Documents folder if you're on a PC. And OK. And what I think I should do right now is actually highlight all of this by drawing a marquee around it with my selection tool and grouping it. It's Command G on the keyboard. And now if I grab this, it all moves together as a single unit. Okay, I'm going to save my file again. Now what I want to do is I want to draw an oval around this and have the words Radio Canada running along the line of that oval shape. So I'm going to go to my rectangle tool, click and hold till I can see the ellipse tool, and then let go. And I'll draw it on the top, and then I'll send it in the back. So I'll just draw an oval, football shaped, and it does assume the same color settings as the previous item. And now I'll go Edit, or rather Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and then we'll reposition this. And I think I'm going to actually shrink this a bit because I want to run the text along this line. So if I start shrinking in and hold my Option key down, it will shrink on its center point. Then I will hold my Shift key to constrain. Okay, there we go. Now let's put text on this line. Once we put text on the line, we don't need to have this color. We'll actually copy this shape, paste it in the back, and just put a fill. Let's go to our type tool, click and hold, pull out until you see Type on a Path tool, and then choose that. And then click on the line. I will click in the middle on the line, and you notice how the paint features disappeared. Now it's going to apply to text. So I'll type in radio, all uppercase. Now once you've created this text on a line, you're going to see 3 sets of lines, these two which are very close, and if I go over the line you'll see that the cursor changes to a small line with an arrow, and this line, which right now is across the circle, and if I go over it you'll see it does a T, or an upside down T in this case. Just drag that line, do not touch these other lines, and do not touch the white boxes. We'll click on this center line and we can simply move that. You can see here how I can drag that around. We'll just simply move that until it's basically centered on the top. I'll click away to deselect. There's my word radio on the top. I want to put the word Canada on the bottom on the same arc. So I will select that arc, edit, copy. This time I will paste in the front, edit, paste in front. And you'll see here I can grab this, and it's a duplicate. And if I drag my cursor across the line, it flips. So I'm going to drag it here. Now it's a little tricky, but get it down at the bottom. You can see here it is a little bit tricky to maneuver. But basically just go upside down here. Let it go. And all we need to do now is go back to our text tool, highlight that text, change it to the word Canada. So I'm holding my shift key down to keep it all uppercase. And there we go. I will leave it at black and go to my selection tool. I'm going to save my file. So I will click to deselect, select my ellipse tool, just draw an oval that's bigger than that oval which has the text on it. And yes, the fill is all black right now. I will give it a fill of a light orange and a stroke of a dark red, and I will increase that stroke weight. And now go to my selection tool, edit, object, arrange, send to back. There's our nice CBC logo, facsimile. Save that. Now I will drag across all of these and group this, object, group. Just reduce my view. And I will actually reduce the size of this by selecting it, dragging on a corner with my shift key down, and there we have it. I will move this to the side for the time being. And let's look at our other file again. So what I propose we do is import the image, then create a text box and make it 2 columns. We'll copy and paste that text. Then we'll create runarounds with the logo, and we'll create this nice shape with our pen tool, fill it with this leopard skin pattern, and then lastly we'll do a sideways S shape with the pen tool once again and run text along that line. So let's move this aside, go to our file. I'll go File, Place, and I know it's in that folder on my desktop called Project, and the file name is called Sheila2.tiff. Highlight that, make sure your link box is checked, click Place, and we'll just drag that to the bottom of our page. And I'm going to do a cut so that I can put this on a new layer. Edit, cut, create a new layer, go to my layers palette, create new layer, drag it to the bottom, double click it to name it. We'll call this photo, and then I will go edit, paste, and reposition that. Now I will actually lock that layer. I'm just going to position this here, lock the layer. Right next to the view icon in your layers tab, there's the lock icon. If I click in this little white box, you'll see a padlock. Now I cannot grab nor move that image, which is what I wanted. I'm going to go back to my layer 1. I'm actually going to double click it and rename it text. Even though our logo is on there, we're going to wrap text around that logo. So let's go back to our text tool. We'll go back, choose the regular text tool, and you can create text boxes by simply clicking and dragging, and I'm going to drag it about down to where the landscape starts, coming into the head a little bit. Let's go up to our type tool, our type pull down menu, choose area type options. See here in the right hand column we actually see a section called columns. I'm going to change that to 2, and I'm going to change my gutter to about 12, and if I click preview I'll be able to see that. I'm going to move this down here, and that's what I will have. So I'll have 2 columns, and that's the thickness of my gutter, which I'm happy with. So I'll click OK. Now I need to get text to put in here. I have text in a Microsoft Word document, which is already open, so I'm going to tab over it. Actually, I don't have it open, so I'll go to my Finder, open it. It's called greektext.doc. Launch Microsoft Word. Text only would be a good file format. And this is just, it's actually Greek text that is commonly used to fill in space for design layouts. I will highlight all of this text, edit copy, go back over to Illustrator, click inside. If you see the little box icon on your text tool, that means you're going to start a new text block. Don't do it. Wait till your text tool turns into this I-beam, which means you're going to be inputting into this box. So I'll click here, and then I can go edit, paste, and there's all my text. Now if I zoom in, we'll see this. I'm going to select all that text by clicking on the last word and dragging upwards. I'm going to change the font to Arial. There we go, Arial. And I think we're okay with 12 points. You can see there's a bit left over, but once we start doing runarounds, it's going to flow around it, and that will fill in our space. So let me go to my selection tool and deselect. Now yes, it's running over the head. We're going to create a blank shape that outlines this shape and create a runaround. So let's do that now. Spacebar to move up. Pen tool. Make sure you're still on the text layer. I'll fill it with black for now so I can see it, but ultimately I'll remove that fill. So clicking and dragging to create a curved line. It just has to roughly represent that head shape, and then I'll just draw this little mountain range. And then bring it down to the bottom, hold my shift key to draw a straight line, and then close that shape off. Highlight my fill chip and click on the None button directly underneath. Go to my selection tool. Highlight that by clicking on the line, and I know it's highlighted because all my anchor points have gone dark. And now we're going to actually create what's called a text wrap. And the premise behind the text wrap is that you highlight the shape that you want your text to wrap around, and it should be on top of the text, I believe. We'll find out. Go up to your Type pull-down menu, rather your Object pull-down menu, go all the way down to Text Wrap and choose Make. And you see what happened there? My text started to run around it. Now we can go back up there, Object, Text Wrap Options. And we can establish this buffer zone between the line and the text by clicking on the offset. If I make that higher and click on Preview, it'll actually give you more space around there. Now I'm okay with the 6. I'm going to go back down and choose that and click OK. So what we've done here is we've created a runaround which follows the shape of the head and this landscape. Let's save our file. Now let's take the CBC logo, make it a text wrap object. So let's position it between the two columns, somewhere in the upper third. And I believe we need to bring this to the front. So let's go Edit, or rather Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. And now, Object, Text Wrap, Make. And just click OK. It's going to include all the objects in the group. And you see how that's running around? Now we should give it a bit of breathing space on the right. I'll zoom in here, Command plus. There's a bit of space, but I'm going to give it a bit more. So I'll go Object, Text Wrap Options, and I'll check the preview so I can see it, and then I'll just increase this one at a time. And I think 10 should be good. There we go, 10, OK. Command minus to zoom back down. Click outside to deselect, and that's nice and clean. I'm going to save my file. Move this up a bit. Now I can click on this text object. If I want this text to fill in here, there's no reason why I can't move it around. And it will just reflow. And I can even drag this to make it longer or shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this logo down farther. And maybe shorten this a bit more. And there. If you see a little box in here, I'll show you. I'll shorten this too much. You're going to see a little box with a minus sign telling you that there's text flowing under the line which is not being seen. So I'm going to stretch it back up till that little red minus sign disappears. And it's gone now. So this is the last word in my text area. Click outside to deselect. Save my file. And now we're simply going to draw an element that runs along the side in a wavy pattern and along the top. So back to my pen tool. Click down here outside to start. Click in here to make a nice curve shape. Click and drag. And I'll have a bit of an S shape at the top here. Click and drag. Click and drag. And then click right outside of your image area. And then click on that anchor point once, and then I can click over here with my shift key and then connect it at the bottom. Okay, now that we've got this shape drawn, we can associate a graphic style to it. Now I got that animal texture from a specific file on a Macintosh, but if we go over to graphic styles, we can apply one of several styles, and we can go to our open graphic style library. And you can see there are different categories here. I'll just go to artistic effects and we'll see what we have there. And I'll choose one of these. I guess I'll choose this scribble. I'll see how that looks first of all. And it sometimes takes a little while. And that's okay. I can experiment with a couple of these others here. Tissue paper, that's kind of nice. I think I'm going to stick with that. And I'll close this window. Okay, what I want to do here, again, I've put it on my text layer. I want to go and create a text wrap out of it, so I'll go Object, Text Wrap, Make. And I also want to add a drop shadow in here. There's you can use effects in Illustrator to do various things. I'm going to put a drop shadow. I click on Effect, go down to Stylize, and choose Drop Shadow. And I'll click OK for the default settings. And there's my drop shadow. And you can see how that buffer zone has extended itself. So my text is following the curve of this shape now. Very nicely. I'm going to save my file. And lastly, I'm going to put a squiggly title at the top. So I'll go to my pen tool. I'm going to go to my fill box and just check on none for now. And I'll make my stroke black. So we'll start with an upwards motion and then quickly go to the downwards, clicking and dragging. And I'll put my text, I'll just actually come out here, make a little higher. Put my text on this line by going to my text tool, clicking, holding it down, go out to type on a path, click on my line and type in sounds like Canada. Highlight that by dragging across. I can change the size. I'll try 48. And that's too big, so I'll go down. 36. Pretty reasonable. I will make the font bold. I'll keep it Arial, but I'll make it bold. And I guess I'll just give it a color of orange here by clicking on my orange swatch. And I've actually made a stroke of orange, which I shouldn't have done, so I'll click none, click on my fill, and once again choose that orange. Click on my selection tool and click away to deselect. Now if I want to move that, I can go in again, grab that middle bar and drag. And you can see what happens here when you're on a line. On a circle it was different, but when you're on a line that has a beginning and end, those two end lines become your border, if you will. So we'll not go past there. You see that? Nor past there. So we'll just center this around here. Click to deselect. File, save, and our project is complete. I'll just go Command minus to zoom out to take a look. And your text will do what's called Greeking when you zoom to a certain level. So we'll zoom back in. I'll just use my spacebar to scroll up and down, and that's pretty good there. So we've got a one-page layout, lots of text wrapping going on, text on a curve. Even in our logo here, there's text on a curve. We brought in an image. We created an invisible line to be used as a text wrap around a custom area of that image, being the head in this case. And that is our lesson, primarily focusing on text using Adobe Illustrator.